Woke up with the window open, sun on my floorboards, mind wide open. I left the doubt by the door, or didn't need it anymore. Pulled on my shoes, hit the pavement, heart in my chest, I could feel it saying, girl, don't wait for a sign. You got this life, it's mine, it's mine. So I'm running toward the spark, even if it starts small. One brave step, then I give it all. Another rail, another day. Love is life, let it play. Be happy, breathe it in. Live your dreams, let them begin. Another rail, another spark. Keep it bright, keep it hard. Love this life, let it stay. Be happy, shine away. I called my friends from the corner store, said, come on down, there's room for more. We danced in the kitchen light, laughing loud on a Friday night. And if the road gets a little wild, I keep that green, keep that inner child. I know my name, I know my song, I've been growing all alone. So I'm running toward the spark, even if it starts small. One brave step, then I give it all. Another round, another day. Love is life, let it play. Be happy, breathe it in. Live your dreams, let them begin. Another round, another spark. Keep it bright, keep it hard. Love this life, let it stay. Be happy, shine away. If you fall, get up singing. If you doubt, keep on dreaming. The best part's still ahead, right where your heart said. Another rail, another day. Love is life, let it play. Be happy, breathe it in. Live your dreams, let them begin. Another rail, another spark. Keep it bright, keep it hard. Love this life, let it stay. Be happy, shine away.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Happy Monday. Good morning. Are you awake? Are you all awake? Look at me. My hair's all kerfuffled. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Hello. Thank you, Donna. You're amazing. I love my moderators so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. There you go. Good morning. Good morning. So I have a ton of work to do today. Thank you all so much. You'll see the floor behind me in a second here. Hello, everyone. Good morning. I've been up since 6, which is like super rare for me. Super, super rare. Those of you that have back problems, you probably understand what I'm about to say, where you wake up and you're like, you have to get up because your back is done. Like my back last night, didn't matter which way I laid. If I put my legs up, it didn't matter. So I was like, 6 o'clock this morning. I'm like, screw it. I just get up. I got a lot of work to do, so I might as well just get up. I'm on my third coffee and I'm rolling. So look at the floor behind me. Ugh. Look at all the orders. And the little June bug in. Hi, Pablo. Hi. Wanna come say hi on camera? Come here. Say hi, everyone. It's me, June. It's me, June. It's Monday. We don't like Mondays. But I'm gonna fuck you up, Mom. Mwah, mwah. Where's Lammy? Where's Lamb? Where's your Lammy? Can you go get Lammy for Mama? Should you help? Go get Lammy. Anyways, yeah. She's such a funny dog. She loves to roughhouse. Like Savvy and her play so rough. And so she tries to do it with me. And then she's like, oh shit, Mom, sorry. I do it a little too hard for Mom. Sorry, Mom. You love Mondays? You do not. You do not love Mondays. Hi, Tiller. You don't care for Mondays either. Oh, there you go. But you know what? I have to say, and I am going to actually like brag a little bit. I get to work for myself and I work from home. So that's absolutely fucking amazing. I am so pleased with myself, like flat out. All those times where I was sitting in an office for fucking 10 hours a day, hating every single second of it. And I'm finally home, you know? Though technically I'm not even supposed to be working at all. But that's a long story. Well, I guess I could tell it. I'm technically disabled. I'm not even supposed to be working, but I haven't applied for disability yet because do you guys, some of you will understand what that means. I don't feel like I'm ready yet. You know what I mean? Even though my body is saying, Terry, you're done. I don't feel like I'm ready yet. Like I feel like if I feel like if I cave and actually apply, I feel like I'm giving up on my body, if that makes sense. Yeah. I'm already halfway through the process. Like I won the court case 2 years ago, and that got me labeled as disabled. It's a long fucking story. Anyways, I had a doctor trying to tell me that my diagnosis of rheumatoid arthritis was wrong. And because of that, my health insurance coverage wouldn't pay me when I went off work sick. It's been 2 years now, I think. A lot of you were here with me through the whole fucking nightmare. Anyways, when I went off sick, I was going to go on extended disability leave because I had extended health coverage at work. Well, and I was told, yep, you're good to go. You're fully covered. So I do it. Well, the insurance company refused to pay me. They refused to pay me. And so I got a lawyer and I won. So if any of you are ever in a situation like that, I'll tell you how to do it. Do not appeal it. Like in the States, you might be a little bit different in the States, but if it's like a medical insurance company, like say like whatever, like a Blue Cross or Manulife or I don't know what you have in the States, and you're denied and they don't pay you, get a lawyer. Period. Flat out. Like my lawyer, from the very, very first day I contacted him, he was like, oh yeah. He was like, I've got this for you. I'm like, okay. The only thing is it took 2 years. To get it done. And the stress during that 2 years almost killed me a couple times. Like my mental health, I was done. Absolutely done. But anyways, it paid off in the end, and look at me now. So I could go on disability for the rest of my life now, but like I just said, I don't feel like I'm ready yet. You know what I mean? I'm not ready yet. So yeah, so the government lifelong disability is there if I wanted to get it, but I'm not ready yet. So yeah. A judge apologized for being denied after well, there you go, Rhonda. Exactly. Exactly. And honestly, I think the key point to my court case was my lawyer was pushing the actual words shit. They failed to practice good faith. The good faith, those two words, good faith. The company was not providing the service I was paying for every month at work. And so they failed me on good faith. And bam, we won. So yeah. So the word of advice for all of you, if you're ever in a situation like that, don't appeal it. My lawyer told me point blank, don't ever appeal. Don't ever appeal. Just go straight and get a lawyer. Because when you appeal, the people doing your paperwork literally will move your file from one side of the desk to the other side of the desk and put it in a filing cabinet for 6 months before they ever even look at it again. Like, that's it. He said that's all it is. You appeal, and to them, that just means they don't have to worry about it for another 6 months or longer. So he said, don't ever appeal, and you need to go after them right away. So yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, they won't make me go through the mess all over again because it's I'm not dealing with them anymore. Like when I apply now, I will be actually going on the Canada Disability. It's our government program that is like your Social Security down there. So yeah, my lawsuit was through an actual medical insurance company. So it's totally different. And exactly, Donna, I worked my whole life. So yeah, so it's sitting there waiting. I'm just not ready yet. I'm thinking about it. I am thinking about it right now, but I'm not ready yet. I'm trying to get this to everything for me, and I'm really close. So, yay. I love you all so much. You're my customers. You mean so much to me. And so I have a shit ton of work to do today. And so I was thinking, well, I might as well be live throughout the day while I'm working. You guys all know this is what I do. And I want to talk about Lynette Hooker stuff today while I'm working because I'm going to be listening to it anyways. So I might as well listen to it with you guys. Okay. Judge asked the doctor if there was anything work-wise I could do, and he said no. Yep. Yep. Exactly. Exactly. My biggest factor, anyways, it's a long story. I lived the life of rheumatoid arthritis for like 25 years in the States, right? I was seriously fucking sick. Like so sick. You guys saw it. It's on the live stream. Okay. I couldn't walk. There's days my ex-husband had to carry me around the house. Like I was so sick. And that was on at least 20 years like that. And then when I left him and moved up here, because of the company saying, oh, you don't have rheumatoid arthritis, even after I had medical evidence for 20 years, they still said I didn't have it. They sent me to the head rheumatologist at Vancouver General down in Vancouver. And he re-diagnosed me to having full fibromyalgia and not rheumatoid arthritis. Like a complete change. And well, that still pisses me off, honestly. It still pisses me off because I disagree with him. Like I totally disagree with him. But you can't argue with the head doctors, right? Just because I haven't had a severe flare since I've been back in Canada, which shows me I think it's environmental. I swear it was the dirt in Arizona that was making me sick. So, but anyways, every now and then I wake up and I'm like, the rheumatoid's not gone. Rheumatoid just doesn't go away. I think I'm in remission, you know? So, anyways, long story. Mine would do that. I had to crawl it. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yours wouldn't do that. Oh, yeah, that's tough. Yeah, and the stress levels. Yeah, exactly. Everything is a factor. Everything's a factor. Good morning, Rhonda. So, anyways, long story short, there you go. I'm glad I can work here. I'm glad I can work from home. I'm glad I can work for myself. And I am eternally grateful I have all of you as customers, and you mean the world to me. Like, flat out. I need to start pumping my YouTube more. I'm still trying to like figure out time management for this. That's why I don't have a strict schedule on here like every day. I don't have every day planned because, well, every day is kind of different. I don't know what I'm doing each day. So yeah, but I am planning on diving into this even more. I'm still trying to figure out how to juggle the two jobs together, basically. YouTube is a job and my business is a job. So yeah. Thank you so much. That means so much to me. I was sent to a specialist and boom, told me fibro. Yep. So yeah, so this rheumatologist told me it was all fibromyalgia. And I'm like, okay, but what about the RF factor test results? You know, those of you that have rheumatoid, you know what I'm talking about. You get your I think it's RF factor, rheumatoid factor. I think that's the blood test. Well, the rheumatologist tried to tell me that they don't go by that blood test anymore. And I'm like, okay, but my last rheumatoid factor blood test was 79. Like 79. And so I was like, you can't tell me that doesn't mean something. Because when I was diagnosed, I was at like my rheumatoid factor was like low. It was above, it was abnormal. It was at like 5. And my last one was 79. So, anyways, I'm not going to argue with them, but 10 years suffered and it was in my head. Right. Yeah. Severe endometriosis and mental. Yep. I had endometriosis as well until I was 24. And then I had a hysterectomy and that fixed everything. It changed my life. Thyroid. Oh, oh, that's good, Krista. Good for you, honey. That's really good. My thyroid medicine, I'm at 325 micrograms thyroid, synthroid. Every time I go to the pharmacist, he goes, "Is that right? Is this right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's been like that for 20 years." Crazy. But it runs in my family. My grandma and my auntie, both of them had to have their thyroids removed. So I think eventually I might end up having to have mine removed too, as it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse, right? So, anyways, this is what I'm working on. I'm filling your orders. I've got most of the boxes, the product picked. 1, 2, 3, 5. 5 mini Lux boxes, and then the rest of them are orders. So I'm really interested to see how much product I have left on the shelf before I do the mini Lux boxes today. The mini Lux boxes might end up having to wait a day. I just got to see how much product I have. Hopefully I have enough to do everybody. Yeah, I don't know what the thyroid diet is, Krista. No idea. What is the thyroid diet? Okay, so let's watch some Drop Dead Serious. We love our Drop Dead Serious. Okay, what has Ashley done? There's a lot of videos I've not watched. Okay, so let's share screen.
Hey everyone, I'm Ashley Banfield, and this is
Okay.
Drop Dead Series.
And we're going to start at the beginning of whatever Ashley has, like most current, and we will go backwards, okay? You have no patience for stupidity. Yeah, I don't either. I don't either. Just look up foods that support your thyroid, like iodine, yeah. Kale, yeah. Okay. All right, Krista, thank you, hon. Okay, so everybody ready? Let's watch, and I'm going to start moving around and getting stuff done, okay?
And welcome to the Northern Bureau in Canada. Big news to bring you. In fact, big video.
It's so nice to see that she's in Canada right now. Yay! And this is what I'll show you. This is what I'm doing right now. I'm labeling. Is that nice? I'm getting really happy with my labels, that's for sure. Okay. Let's go. What does Ashley have to tell us?
That I want to show you. I got my hands on some exclusive Coast Guard video. You know that whole FOIA thing when you ask the government for stuff? The government will often give it to you, unless there's a reason not to. But I wanted to know, what did it look like 40 miles off the coast of Florida when the Coast Guard went racing out there with all its assets and grabbed Soulmate and seized that vessel from the commercial captains that were bringing it back from the Bahamas, presumably because Brian Hooker wanted his boat back? I've been so dying to see, it's basically like Cops on the water, where you have a Coast Guard vessel with the siren going and the loudspeaker, pull over, I could just see it all in my head like a movie. And now I don't have to see it in my head like a movie because I have it for you. This is the moment that the Coast Guard Investigative Service, along with Coast Guard members from Florida, came upon two unsuspecting commercial transfer captains, right? These guys were just delivery captains who had been, paid to bring the boat from the Bahamas to Florida. It happens all the time. And they
can you imagine?
Had no idea that they had been surveilled electronically from.
Can you imagine the stress? Oh my God. If you're just doing your job and you're like transporting a boat, because that's what you're supposed to be doing, and all of a sudden they come and start sirens blazing. Please stop the boat. We need to board. Please stop the boat. Yeah, shaking in the boots. Yeah, I would be. I also want to say, though, this is fair use commentary for educational purposes, all that stuff. Video credit goes to Ashley Banfield. We absolutely love Ashley at Drop Dead Serious. Please give her a like and a subscribe and tell her I sent you. And so let's go here. Yeah, thank you, Donna. I put that up. All right. Great coverage as usual, Ashley. Thank you so much, hon.
From the air and from the water. And not just by me, of course, by the Coast Guard. And so when it was time for that interdiction, this is what it looked like. June's Journey is sponsoring today's episode. And I got to tell you, this one is right in our wheelhouse because it's a hidden object mystery game set in the 1920s. Free to download on iOS.
Fernandina Beach. Reach for them. Captain, how many people on board? How many people on board? Okay, any weapons on board? Okay, do not reach for them. All right. Nobody down below?
Nobody's down below.
No weapons? All right. You guys headed to St. Augustine?
No, we're heading up to
Fernandina Beach. Okay.
Moving for the owner.
Yeah. Is he going to meet you there?
I don't think so, no.
Okay. So right now the boat's being seized.
Oh, shit.
Yep.
Did you catch that last
Yeah.
line?
Oh, shit.
So right now the boat's being seized.
Oh, shit.
Yep.
Yeah.
I wonder if they knew who the owner was. Hey, that's a good question. I wonder if they knew.
All right. I want to drill down a little on that for a moment, because I think a lot of people jumped on this part of the story and really believed that these, commercial delivery captain and crew were like complicit in some ugly business, right? For Brian Hooker.
No, they're just doing their job.
I'm getting the impression from my sources. I talk to people in the Bahamas all the time. I talk to law enforcement. I talk to folks in America. I talk to law enforcement in America, and I talk to the Coast Guard. And I am getting the distinct impression that is not what these guys were. Yes, it is true that we had sources in the Bahamas who told us many weeks ago. In fact, we're at around week 6.5 right now.
Is Ashley Canadian? Does anybody know? Is she Canadian? I didn't know. I'm fairly new to her channel. I never have really watched her in the past until Nancy Guthrie. She is Canadian? Oh, kick ass. Okay. I had no idea.
4.5 weeks ago that Brian Hooker was out shopping around for delivery captain and crew that would bring that boat back to the U.S., and that most people had been denying it and refusing the job. These delivery captains, they knew that there was some lore, they knew there was some weirdness with the boat, but they didn't, from my sources, really believe that this was anything more than just a paid job like they do every day. And boats go back and forth every day.
Okay.
And captains bring boats back and forth for owners all the time. And so when you heard them say, oh shit,
yeah,
I wish that we could see their faces, because I'm sure it was kind of like that, probably very, very concerned that they were doing something wrong when all they were doing was a job. It literally was just a job. But what a moment, right? I just love that part. And then at that point, you don't see it on video, but that's when they hook that baby up and they do a towing 40 miles back to the shores of Florida. Here's what I can tell you. That night, the sea was angry, my friend. It was brutal. The weather was horrendous. I'm told.
Okay, thank you, Donna.
Storm some of those Coast Guard members had ever been through. And let's remember, these are Coast Guard members. So they've been out in the worst of the worst. There was brutal weather that night. And it really waylaid a lot of what their efforts were. There's also like a lot of protocol that comes into towing vessels. So some of that had to be established as well. You can't just like hook up a boat and take it. We've got a Fourth Amendment, right? You have an amendment, you've got a freedom and a right against unreasonable search and seizure in the US Constitution. And so that also plays into what the Coast Guard can do when they seize a vessel and they, hook it up and tow it. So the Coast Guard cutter Winslow Greaser was out there and was doing the big job of towing that, 46-foot sloop into shore. And then
I appreciate
as it got
your help, Donna.
to Fort Pierce and
you too,
marina,
Krista.
a
If
smaller
there's another
Coast Guard
mod in
vessel
here, I'm missing.
actually ended up coming alongside of Soulmate and tying it up. And we got this exclusive video that if you were watching a few episodes ago, you saw when the Coast Guard basically hauled that thing in right up against its own vessel and brought it through the narrow opening into Fort Pierce and into the Coast Guard station, Fort Pierce, where it stayed parked for several weeks until just recently. We also got more exclusive video of the vessel having been moved to the Coast Guard station in Fort Lauderdale. So the boat is moving around a lot. There's nothing untowards about that. This is a crime scene because the crime scene tape officially went up when it was parked at the dock at Coast Guard Station Fort Pierce. We showed you those pictures. We showed you the agents going on and off that boat, carrying things off, bagging evidence on the shore. I mean, that to me was just so telling right there. Crime scene tape around your sailboat that you live aboard that apparently you were nowhere near when your crazy story about Lynette going bouncing off the back of your dinghy, then why is Soulmate a crime scene? And why are the agents going on and
I
off,
love her
carrying
so
things off
much.
and bagging them up in evidence bags on a special table they set out at Coast Guard Station Fort Pierce? It's because they believe you did something on that boat. Brian
Yep.
Hooker. Now, I'm not saying
Yep.
Brian Hooker did something. He's not charged yet. He's not charged with any crime yet. But so much movement on board that boat. And then, of course, if you were watching yesterday, you heard that, boy, oh boy, have they ever nailed down some really important digital forensic evidence. And that is the GPS locations of Brian Hooker and the stupidity of Brian Hooker. And obviously, like, he's real, like, what's the word?
That's what I'm really interested in.
Dumb, but also cheap. Wouldn't get rid of the watch that he allegedly was out.
Those GPS locations are what I'm really interested in, because they, from what I've understood from what she said, it's matching my reading, like, completely. That it's deep, it's deep water, and it's 2 locations where they pinged him when he was out on the water. So, yeah.
Maybe finding a good place to dump something. I don't know what, but if he were trying to get rid of a body, it sure looked like he was out circling 2 different locations late at night on an anchor instead of floating with the wind over to Marsh Harbor like he said he was, right? Again, I'm not saying that he did any of this. I'm not saying he's charged with any of this. I'm saying
Looks good. Love it.
that if he were trying to get rid of a body, some of this new forensic evidence would make sense. And then keeping that watch, you put your stunt watch on to go do these dastardly things, and then you swap it out for your big white watch that shows, oh, look, I didn't do anything at all.
It's a room spray.
And you keep that green watch with the dastardly evidence on it. You keep it.
It's a room spray I made.
I said it before. I'll say it again. That's Brian Koberger shit. You took your own car to the crime scene, and you took your phone and just turned it off and back on when you came home, like you did.
The GPS amnesia. The GPS amnesia. I love that.
I think that would be important. I'm not saying that this Brian Hooker, did anything. He's not charged yet. But oh my God, if that's the case, right? What an idiot. So super interesting that we're seeing a lot of the backstory behind what the Coast Guard knew, when they knew it, and when they decided get that boat. While it was parked in Marsh Harbor in the Bahamas, that is not their territory. And yes, I know they have jurisdiction all over the world. I know. However, it's different. When the Coast Guard Investigative Service wants to do an investigation, you can't just invade a country and do it.
Thank you.
You really do have to do things.
Thank you.
At the behest of the locals, right? And since the locals maybe weren't doing some of the forensic stuff that the Americans wanted to do, it stands to reason that it would be a better strategy to just let that boat come to America on its own, where they could do that interdiction that you just saw, where they could seize that boat and give it a full reaming, evidence reaming, right? Which is what they did, and continue to do. They're still doing it. They're still going on board that boat. The bulk of it has been finished, but they will revisit as needed, right? The bulk of the evidentiary work has been done. But man, oh man, let's talk about a few other things that might have gone on. The same night that this little dinghy was seen circling, with digital data in 2 different areas that are sort of deep. I'm told maybe around 15 feet, maybe less. There's another media outlet reporting 25, and I've been told not at all. It's not 25. My sources said that's just not true. But 15 feet, wow. Wonder what he was doing. Because if you're dumping a body, what are you keeping it weighted down with? If you watched my...
Thank you, Ashley. You just confirmed all my readings. Or at least we'll have to wait and see, but she is repeating what I have said. Thank you so much.
My episode before, it said there were some things missing from Soulmate, like the spare.
Though don't get me wrong, I know she's not watching me. I know she's not watching me. It's just a coincidence she's saying the same thing that I said as my reading. So I would never ever assume that somebody big and famous like this would ever watch my channel. Like, yeah. No, I don't think so.
Spare engine, the Torpedo. Where is that? Brian, where's your spare engine that you just had a few years ago and replaced it with the NT300? I think we all want to know. Number 2, where's Lynette's pink weight belt?
What did I say? She's even talking about the engine? Oh my God. Huh. I love her. She's fantastic. Wow. Wow.
She had a pink weight belt, and the investigators don't have it. The BCD, her buoyancy compensation device, that's also potentially weighted, and it's got little pink, edges on it. We've seen that in pictures. Be interesting to find out if that's missing as well. But it will be interesting to find out if where the data shows this dinghy was circling around as though the anchor had been dropped and it was like swinging around looking for the deepest part perhaps, and then another spot. It will be interesting to find out if there is a body down there, if Lynette Hooker is down there, what's keeping her down there? What kind of weight was used to keep her down there? Because you don't bounce off the dinghy wearing your weight belt, or maybe being tied to a spare engine, or perhaps wearing your BCD. That's not what his story told us, right? We knew that was bullshit, but that can't happen. One other thing we need to talk about, and this is a big one other thing. I know now that the boat, the dinghy, landed on Marsh Harbor that night, right? From April 4th to April 5th, from Saturday night to Easter Sunday. It landed, but it didn't land in the same place where he told everybody, I just landed here. It landed in a different spot. So I guess you could say it landed twice. What's that about? Because if you were marooned and you had no propulsion and you were just floating with the breeze, and the current and the tides, how does that happen twice? Or is that just another fucking lie that Brian Hooker has told everyone? You, me, the police, the investigators, the Hopetown Volunteer Fire,
He is
and
so
rescue
great.
people who were searching for Lynette. Just another piece of bullshit that he told them. Here's where I washed up. Help me. Help me.
Total bullshit.
Apparently not.
Okay,
He landed in a different spot. I don't know what spot yet, but I'm theorizing a few things, okay, based on things that Brian has said. Remember how Brian told Jim Todd with Hopetown Volunteer Fire and Rescue, please give generously. They are volunteer. Remember when he told Jim Todd in a text how incredible it was that the green floaty that he had sworn he tossed to Lynette in an effort to save her, but doesn't know if she grabbed it. And it floated all the way across the Sea of Abaco to the same spot in Marsh Harbor where he washed up. Remember when he texted these words to Jim Todd? Incredible to think we floated all that way 100 yards apart. Remember when he did that? I remember thinking yeah, that's a weird thing to say in the midst of where's my fucking wife? Let's look for her. Can I come out and help? No, incredible to think we floated all that way 100 yards apart. Well, okay.
Wow. Really?
Let's game this out, shall we? Now that we know that Brian actually landed twice on Marsh Harbor, and now that I know from sources that he was actually in the subdivision, because I said, no way, he can't get there. He can't land where he landed and go
Lunch
through the
hour.
thicket, 'cause
Yay.
I was told by people who are way smarter than me, like Jim Todd, who lives there.
Thank you for spending your lunchtime with us. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to be on most of the day. So you guys are welcome to just watch, hang out and all that. I've got a lot of work to get done. So I thought, well, I'll go live. You guys like to watch me pack your orders. and do my work, and we watch Ashley as we go.
Who's fire and rescue, who knows the terrain on the ground. No way is he going to machete his way through this incredible thicket and black sludge and ravines and waterways to get from where his boat washed up to the subdivision where he swears he knocked on 2 doors. No way is he going to make that. Okay, well, now that we know he washed up twice, maybe he washed up, I don't know, like 100 yards away, like 100 yards south, like maybe where the green thing washed up. Maybe you can get to the subdivision from there a little easier.
Okay.
And maybe the whole idea was to send the green thing, the floaty, across the Sea of Abaco to see where it ends up and then mimic that. Maybe, and I'm just saying, because Brian's not charged with anything. I'm just trying to figure out if Brian's lying about all these things. How did all these other things
I'm on the
happen?
back screen.
And here's an idea. Maybe Brian took his white watch and tied it to the green floaty and sent it off in the breeze to see where it would end up.
What? That is so smart.
Really good.
What a smart analogy. Because that I saw that green floaty thing. That's yeah, I highly doubt. Like if she was I don't know. She was an expert swimmer and stuff. It's hard to say, but so she thinks he attached his watch to it. That makes a lot of sense to see where it would wash up to. And he could track it and then go and get it. Wow, that's wild. Yeah, flutterboard wouldn't help in those waters. I don't think so. And especially if you're drunk. Like, what if she's drunk and tired and worried and stressed and panicking? Yeah, I just don't see it.
Mariner's watch, the black watch, the stunt watch. You know, maybe he used that one to track it and see where it ended up. And then he took his very quiet electric engine and drove there.
3x5.
Here's where the dinghy ended up.
So I need to do 2x3.
Take the watch off. And then
2x3.
Go up and knock on some doors. And I don't know, maybe get rid of a dry bag that nobody can find. Lynette's dry bag, you know, with the keys, the spare keys to the dinghy and the passports. And oh no, I've got no propulsion because the keys went out with Lynette. She pulled one out with her and the other one was in the dry bag. And no one can find the dry bag.
Right? What was I saying about the dry bag?
Brian.
What was I saying about the dry bag? Oh, wow. My mind is blown, honestly.
Took the watch off the green floaty thing, marched up to the subdivision, knocked on a few stunt doors, boop, 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 hoping no one would answer, and then doink at the outdoor garbage cans. Maybe that dry bag went into a garbage can. Maybe it was tied in a garbage bag too, so no one would ever know. Maybe it's sitting in the dump right now in the Bahamas. And I know that in the islands, they burn a lot of trash. I don't know if they do on Marsh Harbor, but sure would make sense all of a sudden. And then he came back down to the dinghy and then went off and around again to a more convenient place, right? Maybe. That would make a little bit more sense now, given these facts that I'm acquiring from all my different sources. Bahamas,
right?
America, friends, law enforcement, all over the place. It's not good news for Brian.
No.
You know, the devil's in the details, Brian Hooker. Just ask Brian Koberger. And you kind of seem as dumb as him, is all I'm going to say. Thinking that your green watch, you know, wouldn't be found. You were wearing your big, fat, ugly white watch. You know, you sporting it in front of everybody, coming out of the jail, holding it in your hands, hoping everyone will think, here's my watch. See, nothing on it.
Yeah.
Because everything's on the green watch. But you dumb motherfucker. I guess you didn't anticipate the dogged pursuit of CGIS, Coast Guard Investigative Service. And when I say service, I mean serves you right, Brian Hooker, that these guys were on the job.
Come on.
Because I think the noose is tightening around you, fella. And I think your bullshit lies are being discovered one by one. You left a popcorn trail, you stupid fuck. And you know who else found that? AT&T. They busted you for doing it too. You just
I love
think
her.
you're smarter
I love
than
her.
everybody. Oh, and of course, you're.
You go, Ashley. You go, girl. We need to collab one day. Like, wow. Fantastic.
You're not charged with anything, Brian Hooker. No, you're not charged with anything yet. But TikTok. But I will say this. In all the ugly behavior and the lies and I don't know, whatever else you did, Brian Hooker, there's one thing you probably didn't anticipate other than the dogged pursuit of CGIS, of the Coast Guard Investigative Service. You probably didn't anticipate that you would bring Lynette's family together. I want to show you a picture that happened just this week, because the Coast Guard went to collect DNA from Lynette's mom, Lynette's dad, and Lynette's daughter. And then they all got together with their spouses and Carly Ellsworth, Lynette's daughter, and they took a selfie together. And so that group got together to help solve this crime. Let's just call it what it is. It wasn't an accident. Lynette didn't bounce out of the back of your fucking dinghy. No, I think personally, you did this, Brian Hooker. And everybody, me, my little tiny podcast, and the Coast Guard Investigative Service and the Bahamian Police, who I know are on board and are going to let the Coast Guard come and search and dive in the areas where your little boat was circling around weirdly, because you're supposed to be just floating gently with the breeze and no propulsion. And you weren't, not according to your digital data, dumbass watch. All of us were in on this. We are all going for the devil in the details. And I believe that devil is you, Brian Hooker. This family got together and they gave DNA. Carly,
good for
Lynette's
them.
daughter, Darlene, Lynette's mom, and Dan, Lynette's dad. And if they find Lynette at the bottom of the Sea of Abaco in those places where you were circling weirdly at night, then they'll have that DNA to make a positive.
We've not heard anything about the dive team.
I don't know. Shortly thereafter. And then it's on TikTok. Motherfucker.
TikTok.
Thank you, everyone, so much for listening. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. It is a big help to this little teeny podcast. I really do mean it. And also join our membership. It would be wonderful to see you as part of the group. Thanks again, everyone. I'm Ashley Banfield. This is Drop Dead Serious, because the truth isn't just serious.
I love her. Okay, so let's see what else she's got going on. I'm in the background messing with labels. Okay. All right, so we'll go back, GPS data. Okay, so we're going back in time. So we started with her most current video, and this was from 3 days ago. Okay, and so we're going to go back to 4 days ago. So we're going back in time, okay? Yay! Okay. Okay. Torpedo engine. Ah, could be. Good point. Very good point. Yeah, yeah, I agree. Yeah, good point, Rena. Nobody's ever mentioned anything about his vehicle, have they? Do they have a vehicle? Do they have a car that they kept in the marina? Oh, it's not playing? Oh, sorry, guys. Duh. Sorry. Okay. Sorry about that.
Hey,
All right, here
everybody.
we go.
I'm Ashley Banfield, and this is Drop Dead Serious. And yes, I have a new backdrop. I am up in Canada. Finally, made the big pilgrimage. It took 4 days to drive here, but welcome to the northern outpost. You've probably seen Vermont. Now you're going to see Canada. But do I ever have news for
Sorry,
you
guys,
in the
I'm not
Lynette
paying
Hooker
attention.
investigation? Things are firing up, baby, because guess what? Finally, Brian's cell phone data has been coming in. All the analytics seem to be coming back now. And I don't think Brian was telling us the truth about his little floating for 9 hours without any propulsion, lost at sea till he washed up on Marsh Harbor. Bullshit. Now we can prove it. And here's why. The Coast Guard is going to be sending divers. Yeah, like any minute now, sending divers to the Bahamas because they have pinpointed multiple locations of places they need to investigate real close, aka 2 different locations in the Sea of Abaco. Now, how would they have that?
Brilliant.
Let me break it down for you, because through all of the sources that we've been talking to, not just in the Bahamas, but also with law enforcement and sources on the America side, the confluence of information has given us a clear picture of what Brian Hooker thinks is a smart way to evade detection. Shall we say that Brian Hooker, we know this, we've known it for a long time, has lots of backup devices. Like he had a backup engine, right? Because that dinghy got a brand new engine, the NT 300, after they had a lightning strike. And It's more than likely the torpedo engine that they had on board before was kept on board. You know, a little fix it, and then you got yourself a spare engine, which is always really
Miriam.
important. Trouble is, does not appear
Okay,
that the
Rhonda.
torpedo was on board when that boat got raided. And it is entirely possible that the torpedo engine
Thanks for hanging, everybody, as I'm just doing my work here.
A weight that would take something below the
Good to
surface
see
of the
you
water
all.
and keep it there.
Something had definitely been
So
wrong for a long time. You bet.
Was what happened. I don't know that for sure. I know that it is a great possibility. The other thing that's a great possibility is dive equipment that was missing off board. Okay. So when they raided the boat, I'm learning from multiple places now that that torpedo engine, questionable. Also, dive equipment, questionable. I get it. That boat was sitting in Marsh Harbor on a mooring ball unattended for weeks, which means pirates could have come on board in the dark and taken things, but it doesn't appear the valuable stuff was taken, right? Like so much of that amazing electronics equipment, not taken. Starlink on the transom, not taken. So I would think it would be weird to imagine that whoever decided to board a boat and commit that kind of felony wouldn't like take more and take more valuable stuff. But okay, I'll give you that. The thing is,
how are you, Miriam?
Is that when the Bahamians raided that boat, we know they got the Apple Watch, right? We know they got Lynette's pink Apple Watch, and that gave us a photo to launch 1,000 ships. And that was the photo of her taking a selfie at the Abaco Inn with what sure looked like a big pink band around her wrist. And that pink Apple Watch was on board, and the Bahamians seized it. But they got another one.
It was
too.
On board.
They got what they figured was, you know, a backup watch for Brian Hooker. Now, backup watch, big deal. Who cares about a backup watch? The forensics aren't going to be on it, right? Wrong. It is entirely possible that Brian Hooker, the master of trying to disguise his location, screw over his employer AT&T, and fuck with his GPS on his van so that they wouldn't know where he was. The master of sneaky shit.
Wow.
Hiding where he is. Very well could have used his.
I'm sorry to hear that, Miriam, hun. Snow flurries, too. Like, oh my gosh. The weather is just so crazy. Well, bundle up on the couch, Miriam. Bundle up on the couch.
Backup watch that night as his main watch. And then switched it back. And then was wearing his big fat white watch when they arrested him. And, you know, there wouldn't be anything on it. Because if you took that big fat ugly white watch off and you put it on the boat while you did naughty things, I'm not saying you did it. He's not charged with anything.
Yeah,
but
not
if you
normal,
took your main watch off and you put your backup watch on to get all the details and information that you might need to find very deep holes in the Abaco Sea, well, nobody would know that. Unless, of course, they seized that backup watch. Brian Hooker, mofo.
Yeah.
Things are looking real bad for you, fella. But here's the deal. His GPS information now has
Mother Nature has
him
PMS. Yeah, she's not happy.
not
That's for
floating
sure.
at sea at the whim of the tides and the current and the wind, as he professed to anyone who would listen, but instead deliberately changing directions, doing really weird things like circles in one spot. That's not what the wind does. Yeah, I don't think you need to be a boater to know that. But if you're in a dinghy and you're blowing in the wind, you're blowing in the wind whatever way it takes you. And you're
going in circles.
You are not doing this. Yeah. This is like, this is the spot I think I'm looking for on my backup watch that's really deep. This is my mind only. I'm just gaming out why Brian floated in these weird patterns. Is it possible? He's not charged with anything yet. In any case, that happened twice, these stupid ass circles. And is it like, let me find that really deep spot because I need to sink something in a really deep spot. Now, I can tell you this. I've said it many times. I'm going to say it again. The Sea of Abaco is like a big bathtub, and you can see the bottom pretty much everywhere. But there are little places that might be a bit deeper, like maybe 15 feet. I mean, I've heard a rumor that there's a media outlet out there suggesting there's a 25-foot hole, but nope, my sources say that is not true. That at best it could be 15 feet and maybe not even that deep. But this is what I said back. Hold it. All this time, we have believed that the Sea of Abaco, as a giant swimming pool, and those grid searches that the Coast Guard planes did would have shown if there was a body at the bottom. Like you would know there is a body at the bottom of your swimming pool in the deep end, you know, at 6 to 8 feet, you'd see it. I have been told that you would have to be right over it in a boat in order to be able to see it, and that the plane might not catch that. So this could be the hiccup as to why her body might actually be in the water, that Lynette might actually be in the water, say between Lubbers and Marsh Harbor, right? Don't go anywhere, because in a moment I am going to speak with Blaine Stevenson, dear friend of Lynette's, at once upon a time friend of Brian's too. But you'll remember Blaine because Brian Hooker called Blaine and went on and on and on, like thou dost protest too much, kind of going on and on. And Blaine and Marnie, his wife, they're liveaboards as well, thought something is like, first of all, this is too much information. We need to record this so we can write it all down, right? And about, 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes into this, I think it went on for over 40 minutes, they started to smell a rat. Understandably, right? Because the rest of us, we all smelled a rat right away with his bullshit story. And so Blaine is going to join me in just a moment to sort of go through some of this information and how the pieces kind of all fit together. So just don't go anywhere until you hear from Blaine. He's coming up in a moment. In any case, I don't know the exact location of those two locations that did this, right? Like drop an anchor and circle around till you find the spot, right? But I really, really, really wonder that when the Coast Guard sends those divers over and they go down in those two spots, are they going to find Lynette tied to the torpedo engine or maybe the missing dive gear? Because Lynette had a BCD, a buoyancy compensation device. That's like a vest that's weighted when you dive. You have to have weights on when you dive. If you're not a diver, you float, you'd be fighting against the flotation. So you weight yourself down and then you can swim. And she had a BCD that served as likely the weights as opposed to a weight belt.
It's an Apple product.
But
it would
she's
be
wearing her BCD,
right?
or if she's tied to her BCD, well, then she really didn't bounce off the back of that dinghy now, did she? Oh, imagine if that story's not true. Well, we're getting closer and closer to having the fucking forensics prove it, which I say is like fabulous. Here's the deal though. When the Coast Guard wants to do work in someone else's country, you have to be a guest, right? You can't just barge in there and invade. The Bahamians have to agree to that. And so I can only imagine that the Bahamians are going to agree to this, right? Like, let's talk. There's no way that the Bahamians, if met with this information, are going to say, we're not interested in having you sniff around the bottom of the Sea of Abaco for Lynette Hooker. We're not interested in having that solved. I really can't for a minute, not even for a split second, imagine that the Bahamians would not allow the Coast Guard to finalize and solve this crime. So hopefully the next time I'm talking to you on the next episode, that's happening. Hopefully the strike force that is the...
Excuse my yawning, everybody. I'm crashing all of a sudden. I'm going to order some McDonald's for Savvy and I. I'm all of a sudden just super tired. Ugh. I've been up since 6. That's probably why. All right, so hold please as I order some luncheon.
Coast Guard Investigative Services and their divers and all their gear are on a Coast Guard flight to Marsh Harbor Airport. And minutes from those two GPS located spots where those circles were happening with Brian's fucking backup watch. And P.S. what an absolute idiot. Again, I'm not saying he did anything. I'm just saying that if he did, he's fucked. And he's not charged with anything. As we speak, Brian Hooker's not charged with anything. But, oh my God, if I had a dime for every time I said, tick tock, Brian Hooker,
TikTok.
Might be able to get the hole over there repaired. There's a little one. Mosquitoes get in. So a lot to sort of come to terms with here. Bahamians, thank you in advance for the permission that you're going to give to the Coast Guard Investigative Services to finally get justice for Lynette Hooker and find Lynette Hooker and allow her family to bury her and to mourn her properly and allow the justice process to march forward against whoever it was that did this to her. Tough one.
Right.
There's a couple of other things they need to look at, not just those 2 places where that dinghy just, defied science and wind. Yeah, science. There are places on land that the Coast Guard also wants to look at because, again, Brian, your backup watch should have tossed that one out if you're really a criminal. And I'm not saying he is, but there's a couple places on land that they want to look at as well, because let's all remember that Lynette supposedly bounced out with the dry bag that had the spare key, and she grabbed the lanyard with the key in the engine, and she also grabbed, oh, come on, all of it. Anyway, where's that dry bag? Because all of us know that a dry bag floats, and this thing's bright green, right? Neon green. So that would have been found. That would have washed up, as she would have. In any case, there are things that are missing. That ore, I think that's still missing. I don't think that ore that washed up on Lovers, I don't think that was the ore. Doesn't seem to match the description. But that is something that they want to do as well. They want to look at a couple places. And guess where? Remember when Nathan took us to the beaches on Northwestern Lovers? That key interest. Because remember, Brian had this silly ass story about I floated and finally threw an anchor down north of Lovers, where it's like you could get out and stand. There's a huge shallow shelf north of Lovers. You can stand. You don't need to ex-Marine, put your anchor down and fire off your flares and nobody's paying attention to me. This is his bullshit story. So when he tells us that story, was there a reason? Was he trying to account for some time, like a lot of time?
Thank you so much for Googling everything, Donna. I love that. Thank you very much, honey.
That he spent in that area, say getting rid of some evidence. I'm not saying he did. I'm not saying anything like that. He's not charged with anything yet. So they want to check north side on the west side of Lovers. They want to, and Nathan has been amazing. He's looked all through there, but now you can do it with maybe dogs or maybe a little bit clearer GPS location, right? And there's some construction areas around there where you could easily hide some stuff. So that's on the menu. So a couple of places on land, and then those 2 key places in the Sea of Abaco. So that's important. Those need to be searched. I am also told, and we learned this a long time ago, right? We learned that Brian and Lynette had spare anchors. Okay. And Blaine Stevenson told us, if you're a live aboard, you've got spare everything. Cause you can't really be out at sea and then not have the extra when the one thing fails or falls overboard. And it is possible there's an anchor missing. Cause what would be a better way to keep a body on the floor of the ocean or the sea than an anchor or a heavy dive vest, or I don't know, a torpedo engine. So all of these things are possibly in play. I cannot tell you definitively, but the word that keeps coming back through all my sources is that these are the things that give rise to the idea that maybe she's not buried on land. So interesting. We're going to watch for spare anchor, BCD dive vest, and then also that torpedo. One other key piece of information. Today is Wednesday, May 27th, and
everything she has said has been what I said in my reading. I said all of this before she ever talked of this. It's amazing.
Today, even maybe as we speak, the Coast Guard came to Darlene Hamlet's house and met up with Darlene, that's Lynette's mom, met up with Carly Aylesworth, that's Lynette's daughter, and also met up with Lynette's dad. All of them got together at Darlene's home and gave DNA samples. So we are moving ahead, because if they find Lynette, then these samples will clearly, Lynette's dad, Lynette's mom, and Lynette's daughter would be the way to identify a body. Because look, we are at 6.5 weeks right now since Lynette went missing. And so it is highly likely there is, little left, so to speak. And I hate to speak in those terms, but this is what's going to happen at trial. If there's a trial, if there's a charge, and I'm not saying that anybody's guilty at this point, but Brian Hooker, if I were you, I'd be
Yeah, she said, I think it's in the video that's before this one, about how the dive teams are actually, they were on their way there. And that was last week. So, and we haven't heard anything, what the results of all that was. That's really, I'm waiting to see what that, the results of that. Yeah, bye, Sacrifice. I see you. Bye-bye. Okay.
fucking scared. Tell you what, the fact that they're getting DNA from those 3 family members is huge. And that's happening as we speak. So I am sensing that this is heating up much faster.
Yay!
And I also asked the Coast Guard, how fast can you mobilize? They can mobilize
Just order
overnight. Once they get that invitation, they can go. It is that fast, and they can be in that water that next morning. So, watch this space. One other thing I want to let you know that has happened as I was driving up to Canada, over many days. And by the way, it didn't take that long to get here. It actually takes about 40 hours with all the stops, but we stopped and visited people along the way, over 4 days in the car. Is that Soulmate moved, and we finally found where it's parked and got some pictures. So I just wanted to show you its new home right now. That's what you're seeing right now is the Coast Guard Station, Fort Lauderdale. It came down from Fort Pierce. It was towed all the way, parked at the dock at Coast Guard Station, Fort Lauderdale. You can only see this, by the way, from the water. It's very hard to see this from the land.
All right, let's get going here.
This is not where the boat is going to stay. No, my friends, because remember, surrounded in crime scene tape, it is a crime scene, which means it is itself evidence. To me, that says that Lynette probably died on board. Because if it were just a place where later, things were stashed or there was obfuscation or obstruction of justice or things like that, I don't know that the entire boat would be considered that much of a crime scene. It would have to be moved. And
okay, I'm on the back screen again. I got to make some
and taken into some kind of dry dock storage.
We're going to do
where
customs paperwork for like an hour now.
Or it can be shrink wrapped and preserved for trial. So I think Soulmate now is becoming more and more of a possibility of where.
So I don't know if I don't think my video is freezing anymore when I'm on the back screen. You guys used to always tell me I was frozen,
and he did something there.
But you don't seem to be telling me
he's not charged with any crime. Say it with me.
Which is good, I think.
Yet, but the possibility that Lynette died on board Soulmate, and then the obstruction of justice and the destruction of evidence, and obviously getting rid of the body happened afterward. My assumption, and Lindsay and I saw a lot of activity in that area where Soulmate was anchored. Lots of lights going on and off around that boat, low, like we're a dinghy and high, like up on board deck. That'll happen in the midnight kind of hours, right? So nice and dark, lots of people asleep. And by the way, an electric motor is silent. That's the other nice thing. If you're trying to commit a crime and you don't want to wake up the other sailors and motor boaters that are anchored near you, well, that dinghy just goes along like a Tesla, nice and quiet. Don't hear a thing. And certainly at midnight, you wouldn't even hear the splash. That said, so that we're not mixing things up here, someone on land did hear a splash. Around 9:30 at night, a big splash. Was that a fight? Was that somebody being dropped in the water accidentally? I don't know. I haven't been able to put that piece together, but it is highly unusual and I think a very big part of this story. But let's just say at midnight or ish, somebody needed to get rid of a body. Might be a really good time to do it with everybody so sleepy and the water a little bit quieter. Although, according to Brian, it's screaming wind, right? In the anchorage. Okay, and as promised, I want to welcome now Blaine Stevenson, who has been living aboard his boat for years. He and his wife traveling around the world. And so they know a lot about what it is like to be a cruiser. That is somebody who lives on a boat, and there are real idiosyncrasies about life on board.
What is the customs number for this? This is going to
sort through some of the stories that Brian has told, and has also helped me to understand the things that Brian and Lynette had on board and the things that might not be there now. So here's my conversation with Blaine Stevenson. Okay, quick note from my sponsor. Every year when I look at the places where money is quietly slipping away, like monthly fees and overdraft fees and savings accounts earning almost nothing, rewards that I'm not using,
Okay.
that's why I end up liking Chime. Chime is America's #1 choice for banking. And right now, they're giving you smarter ways to make your money work harder. With the Chime card, you can get 5% cash back in a category St. Martin on your boat. You've done this for years. This is suddenly taking.
It's definitely.
I've got to start getting into this collaborating sponsorship stuff too. I got to find out how these creators are getting onto these sponsorship lists. I want to do these things too. You get paid really well. Very, very good money to do that.
A huge step in the right direction. One of the things we've been talking about is, this all takes time. So there are so many systems on a boat that have to be serviced and checked into, and it just takes time to get that data back. So I'm very happy to see that this is all still moving forward and we're getting some of the answers that we've been looking for.
And Blaine, you and I talked a long time ago about how you guys, here you are in St. Martin on your boat. You've done this for years. You got the knowledge that most people don't. That's very helpful in putting to bed some of Brian's lies, a lot of his lies. But you also were able to tell us long ago that liveaboards in general, cruisers in general, and certainly Brian, you've got backup systems and you've got backup electronics. And Blaine, I think you might have said, if there's anybody who does that to the nth degree, it's Brian Hooker.
Yeah, I mean, in following this case, you can go back through their social media because you're looking for whether she wore the Conch Republic headscarf. But then you see Brian's wrist and you're like, hey, that looks like my watch. That looks like a Quantix, Navionics watch. But then when he comes out of the jail, we're looking at the shoes. I think you asked me to look at.
There you go. Time. Okay.
And good I'm like, point. Hey, that's a white, like almost Swatch watch kind of looking watch. Like it's never what you're looking for that you find. It's all the other things in the pictures that we've been finding along the way. That he has multiple phones, multiple watches, multiple.
Oh, you do? Yeah, I do TD too.
Multiple tablets, I've seen a pink one, I've seen a regular one, so he has redundancies and he has a collection of gadgets.
Let's talk about that watch. Can you show me the watch you're wearing right now? Because you said just before the interview that this is your watch. It is very similar to his watch and that you could literally navigate with that watch.
Yeah, so this is a Garmin Quantix watch. It ties into our Raymarine system. And
what a fantastic watch. So these people were friends with them at one point.
You can adjust your autopilot from it. Now this watch comes with a blue band and it also comes with a black and a silver band in the box. Now I wear the rubber one, but it looked like he was wearing either the black one or the silver one. I couldn't really tell. But this is a sailing watch. It's actually, when you go for a run, it's kind of a pain in the butt to do any of the normal smartwatch stuff. but for sailing, it's awesome.
Let me ask you this. If, and I'm not saying Brian Hooker did this because he's not charged with anything yet. If Brian Hooker took off his big white watch and put on that watch and decided to go and find a deep spot in the Sea of Abaco, navigating with that watch, would that be something you could do in the pitch black?
Completely. You could build routes that go right on here.
Previous routes.
When I did my drift, remember when I did my drift demo for you?
Mm-hmm.
The data that I sent you, that's a picture from this watch. It wasn't from any other device. That's from the watch. And that's where I was able to get my speeds and everything from. So I literally pulled up my app on my phone and sent you the screenshot of my route from my watch.
Well, so now it makes complete sense if Brian Hooker needed to dispose of something late at night, he could use that. He could take off his white watch, put it down on the sailboat, make it look like he was there the whole time, which is still crazy because he shouldn't be on board Soulmate. He could put on the Marine Navionics watch, and he could take his electric motor, the NT300, which is silent, wouldn't wake up any boaters around him, and he could boat off into the darkness and find the exact depth he's looking for in the blackness, and then return and change watches, and it would appear as though he
Digital
hadn't done
ties.
that.
Yes. Yeah.
He could have set the route on his boat before he left and just driven straight.
They've got him. I can guarantee you they've got him. They're just waiting. Maybe they're waiting to find her first before they arrest him. If he has so much digital equipment, they've got to have nailed him on something. Some sort of ping, something.
Right there.
So if he researched it, say on the boat, again, he's not charged with
Right.
anything. I'm just wondering if it was possible. The other thing is, I was looking into the NT300, and it turns out the engine itself does not register those metrics of distance and travel, but the batteries do. And so all you would need to do is just get rid of a battery.
Or even worse, you take the proprietary battery that comes with the 36-volt battery that comes with the NT300, and you replace it somewhere because it starts to go bad after 3 years, and you replace it with 2 or 3 other 36-volt batteries that don't have the telemetrics. You know, we don't know how many batteries he had on his dinghy. He could have had a range of 3 miles. One of the questions I asked Carly early on is, all the time you were with him, did you ever run out of a charge? Did you ever need to wait to go somewhere to charge? And she said there was only ever once where he said, hey, we're just charging up the dinghy real quick. And all the time they were together. So, you know,
Does that tell you that he's got multiple batteries, or does that tell you he's got one battery and had to recharge
I start
it?
to
Because I would think you'd have
memorize
multiple batteries. If you got to rely
codes here.
on batteries for your dinghy, you're never going to want to be without.
well, and especially if you have a guest, though, I can imagine they were going all over the place. Like, we could be pretty much couch potatoes if we don't have our family on board. But when my daughter or my son comes down to visit, we're everywhere. We got to show them everything.
Shit.
So I could imagine by day 5, even if he had 4 batteries on that dinghy, you know, speculation. But by day 5, he's like, hey, we just got to wait an hour to charge it up.
Prince.
So that was why I asked Carly those questions.
What do you know about Lynette's weight belt? Because I'm finding out that some dive gear, it could be missing off of Soulmate after they processed it. And I've only ever seen her wearing a BCD. And I didn't know that there might actually be a pink
That's
weight
interesting.
belt.
So her weight
what do you
belt-
know about that?
So according to, I believe it's Dan, that Dan was doing
Dan is a friend of yours or a friend of theirs as well?
he's just like me. He's the one that released the text messages. He was friends of Brian and Lynette's.
Yeah, that's the fake freaking AI YouTube channels. Yeah, there's a lot of them out there now, and you got to be super careful with what you're watching. Don't believe, if you haven't seen it on the news, then don't believe any of it ever. Like, I have people coming to me all the time going, Summer Wells has been found. I'm like, bullshit. No, she hasn't. Stop believing what you're seeing. Yeah. Yeah, it makes me furious. And they're making money. They're making money, those channels. Right. Yep. Right. the way you see it is, I just thought of this. It's equal to the digital version of the Inquirer. Like, it's the digital version of the Inquirer. Remember those newspapers? They were all fake. Be quiet, June. You be quiet. She is such a barker. Lunch is here. Lunch is here. I'll be back in 2 seconds.
He was on a different news station, and they released that information to him that her pink weight belt is missing. And when I started thinking about it, I'm like, yes, I have a BCD that holds all my weights, but my wife might actually need a weight belt to hold her down more than what the BCD would hold. Because again, she's more buoyant than I am.
Right.
And so it's not necessarily based on size, it's based on what your buoyancy level is. So even though I'm smaller than him, I still need more weight than he does and require that.
Right. It wouldn't be weird that she would need the weight belt. I think the one thing that's hard is, and geez, Blaine, you're a lawyer. You would know this, that boat, Soulmate, sat unattended in Marsh Harbor on the dinghy or on the mooring ball for weeks. And so you could argue, well, somebody came along and pirated it because it was known to everyone that that boat was unattended. But it sure is curious that very critical things that could be used to weigh down a body are what's missing instead of the expensive, say, gear on board, the electronics, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I've run into I like to refer to pirates as water tweakers because that's really all they are, right? It's just, it's just somebody with a boat that wants to steal stuff versus somebody
Okay, excuse me while I eat my lunch, okay?
walking into your property that wants to steal stuff. I think they generally don't go for lead, right? Little pouches of lead. That's going to be a hard one to sell to a jury that this guy had access to tablets and, Ray Marine equipment and VHF radios, but he took a package of lead. I'm not buying that that's the thing that's missing from the boat.
And what we've been told is, wasn't there video cameras at the Conch Inn that had visuals on that boat also? So I don't think it was something that somebody could have easily gotten into without somebody noticing.
Well, it's possible in the dark of night. I guess anything can happen, but I think you're spot on that
it's a blueberry Sprite.
Why would you steal the lead and not the electronics? Right. You could just pick up and right there out in the open. That clearly the Americans.
They're just little square pieces of lead. Some are little bags, but like mine are just little square pieces of lead that go through a belt loop. It looks like the most generic belt buckle in the world.
And the electronics are sitting out there for the Americans to mine off of the boat when it gets to America. That just defies logic. Unless you're, let's say you're a female diver and you're raiding that boat and trying to steal something, maybe, but it does sound kind of preposterous.
It sounds like his story.
It sounds a lot like his story. I think you're absolutely right. And I want to sort of nail that down with you guys because, I think how frustrated I've been. I'm a boater. I'm nowhere near
I was gonna get that, but I was like, that sounds really weird. So it's actually pretty good. I'll try that next time.
Near the boaters that you guys are, from day one, you knew that you smelled a rat. You knew there was something off. And now we're really starting to see the forensics prove that. And that's got to feel, on some level, extraordinary for you.
It doesn't, I'll be honest. The concept and idea that she's on an island living her best life with, 4 locals, that feels better. The idea that she hopped onto a boat next to her and is somewhere on another island altogether, starting a new life, that feels better. The idea that I had dinner with somebody who could have taken out their wife, that does not feel good. I've been criticized for being back and forth and supportive or not supportive. I've been following the facts from day one, whether they support or deny Brian's claim. And none of them have supported his claim, but I can't go as far as say he did X, Y.
No problem at all. I don't mind caps at all.
YZ. Well, now the Coast Guard's coming out and saying he didn't do what he said he did. He's over here in this area. That's not me coming out and saying it. That's the Coast Guard. And now it doesn't feel good. Now it feels like, let's get to the Bahamas, right?
Yeah.
Let's be in the Bahamas now, right?
Or at least perhaps as a lawyer, maybe it just feels satisfying that there is forensic information that does knock down his lies.
Correct, because sharks don't eat passports, sharks don't eat phones, sharks don't eat dry bags. I am so tired of the shark angle. Yes, I agree. Biologics are going to be tough. But he still had to make all that other stuff disappear. And that other stuff should be wherever Lynette is. So if it ends up that
a while ago, I was going to say, Blaine, the other thing you told me a while ago was that you knew that they had, or at least you believed they had a spare anchor on the back of that boat, and that when the Americans are able to look at that boat, there better be 2 anchors.
Correct. They had the 2 up front, and they had a Danforth on the back, and then
it might have even been 3 up front. I have a picture somewhere of it.
But we do have a list of all the anchors we've seen as recently as, I believe, their video of like 3 weeks before the incident. You could see the Danforth. I remember the first day I tried to reach out to you. The only person I tried to reach out to, I'm like, go get a video circled around that boat because I wanted to see if the Danforth was still there.
And we went around the boat. We did.
And
that's a complete match to my reading. I'm floored, honestly. Wow. I was saying, did they have an extra engine? Where's the engine?
The other thing that we've been trying to narrow down is at least 2 or 3 pictures we can find. It looks like there is chain on his anchor dinghy. His dinghy anchor. And now there's rope or line, he says. So it'd be interesting to see when that switched over as well.
Right, because chain is also extremely heavy.
Yes.
And that's the reason it's anchor chain, is because it adds to the weight and it adds to the stability of an anchor. Today, the Coast Guard was at Darlene's house, Lynette's mom, and Lynette's daughter, Carly, was there, and Lynette's dad. And they all got their DNA collected by the Coast Guard. Look, I've been in this business a long time. And once you're doing that, you're likely getting close to being able to say, we've got something to test against. And as a lawyer, I think you probably can see that as well, that they are probably quite close at this point, or believe that they're close to maybe finding Lynette's body. And then
my whole point is, like I always say, I'm not trying to I'm boast or anything like that. That's not why That's not why I'm like happy that I'm validated. It's because I want people to eventually, like, I'm desperate for people of importance to listen to me. That's all. I want people to listen to me so they will go and look for people. That's all. You know what I mean?
And using the DNA tests to confirm whether it's her.
Sure, that when they find something, they want to know and eliminate while they still have people on the ground, versus go get something they think is that, and then have to come back later and look a second area. I could imagine that they would want to be able to run a test the minute they find anything, while they still had boots on the ground, versus bringing it all back, then collecting all of that. So that information tells me they're getting ready to deploy. But look what he did. Look how he brought the family together. Look at how many people he's brought together. Subtracting him from the situation has sure created a good family.
Yeah, I mean, I wish it were obviously under different circumstances. I've been talking to Darlene, and there's just nothing. This is a club that nobody ever wants to join. It is exclusive and it is awful. And you know, my heart bleeds for them. And that's why I just think that we are all sort of in it together to get justice for them. And then also to just hold someone to account that wound everyone up, lied to everyone, cost taxpayers, cost pain and treasure and all of that. And, you know, I got to say to you guys, you know, hats off, because you did the work. You went through every text message. You went through every photo. You went through all the possibilities. You ran the tests. You went out in the dinghy, and you were able to give a lot of that information to the investigators. And that it's in some, again, I'll just say by some measure, that must feel at least satisfying that you've done your part. And it was actually a really important part.
The flower demonstration you showed on one of your videos from strangers, I would like to stand next to Darlene and Carly and have that for ourselves. But we need Lynette to do that. So I will feel that satisfaction after the tears on that day. You know, a lot of people who watch these don't know that, and you do, but a lot of people don't know that we talk with Darlene daily. We talk with the Coast Guard. We talk with you, right? Like, everybody thinks it's like this independent world out there, but it really is a collaborative effort of everybody working together. Darlene's like, I just can't do an interview today, or we're busy. We are all working together to keep the story alive, not keep our faces in the news, or not keep so much pressure on Carly while she's going back to work or whatnot. So, and you know that, but I just wanted to kind of share that with people, that everybody's working except for Brian.
Yeah, there are so many people working in the background to look at this or look at that, or, hey, I know I found this picture at this place, or this was released, or that was released. I mean, we all have our teams of people that are helping us along the way, and it's been huge. Like you said, it's kind of a, you know, an exclusive club that nobody really wants to be a part of, but the amount of people that have been brought together by this has been really incredible.
Well, I'm really glad to have met you. This isn't over yet. We're going to continue the conversations, and we'll cross our fingers that this strike team, the Coast Guard.
This is one of the things that I'm really enjoying about Ashley, is she's real. Like, she's kind. She actually listens. She reminds me of Brian Enton, you know. She's not like a news broadcast announcer type. She's down to earth and kind to the people she's talking to. You know what I mean?
Our team is able to mobilize quickly, get in place quickly, do the work quickly, and then do what comes after. And that, you know, I think we all sort of feel is hopefully an arrest. Thank you so much, you guys. I really appreciate this.
Absolutely.
You have a great day, Ashley. Bye, Lindsay.
You too. So my great thanks to Blaine Stevenson. What an incredible resource he and Marnie have been. All the text messages that Lynette Hey everyone, I'm Ashley Banfield, and this is Drop Dead Serious. And moved no longer at the Fort Pierce, Florida Coast Guard Station. I thought it would be there for a long time, but nope. Today in the morning, and I'm recording this on May 22nd. It's the Friday of Memorial Day long weekend. So I've had a couple drinks. Again, I'm not a boozer, but like the last episode and this one, I just have to be honest. I've had a few drinks. So I may be all over the map. But this morning, that boat, that sailboat, was towed away from Fort Pierce, from the Coast Guard Station, 100 miles south, all the way to Fort Lauderdale, the Coast Guard Station in Fort Lauderdale. So look, no matter how hard I tried everything to get some pictures of it coming into Coast Guard Station, Fort Lauderdale, but it was like dark. By that point, by the time it came in, 100 miles of towing is a long effing tow. I have towed so many boats in my time. And look, if I'm going 3 miles, I'm like, oh, kill me now. This is horrible. 100-mile long tow. So that would take, let's see, 12 to 15 hours maybe. In any case, too dark to get pictures of it when it was being pulled into Coast Guard Station, Fort Lauderdale. I'm trying to find out what it is about Fort Lauderdale's Coast Guard Station. What's there that would require Soulmate to be transferred? Maybe it's bigger, maybe there's more dock space, but here's what I know. I think that boat is not long for the water. I think that boat at 46 feet takes up a lot of dock space. And I think they're going to haul it out and put it up in dry dock until, say it with me, trial. Brian Hooker is not charged with anything yet. But I think he will be. And I think all of the things that they have taken off of Soulmate, and Soulmate itself is a crime scene surrounded by crime scene tape. So I think they're going to put it into a protective environment somewhere because, listen, weather is a bitch and it can do a lot to a boat.
Okay.
And also looky-loos and also, you name it, out in the elements. Not the greatest place to keep
Okay,
evidence.
back to work I go.
My suspicion is that they're going to get that big old sailboat up into a safe environment indoors, or at least
back
wrapped.
to work
maybe
I go.
Shrink wrapped. I don't know. But it has moved. And so there's the latest saga in the crime scene that is known as Soulmate. But there's a couple of other things that we're finding out that taken alone, you might think, I don't know, maybe not such a big problem, but taken with everything else that's happened in this story, it's just another piece of like, Brian Hooker is a shit. I already can't stand this guy. No matter what, I can't stand him. But when you hear what I'm about to tell you, you're probably going to feel a little more like that if you don't already feel that way. So it turns out on April 4th, when Brian concocted this ridiculous story about Lynette Hooker, his wife of decades, bouncing out of the back of the dinghy on the way from the lovely Abaco Inn bar to their lovely sailboat where they've lived on board for 4 years. The seas were 2 to 4 feet and the wind was howling and I just couldn't reach her. All the evidence points to the fact that the weather was lovely, there were no waves, and that story is garbage. But what's really incredible is what happened after. We've talked about him sitting on his ass on the Conch Inn for a couple of days while Hopetown Volunteer Fire and Rescue members searched for Lynette in the Sea of Abaco, and he did nothing.
If there's a lot of conch shells there.
He did no searching, that's for sure. He didn't take Jim Todd up on his offer of a phone number to rent a boat to go out and help the search. Prompted by Brian Hooker. Okay. Brian asked Jim Todd, can I get a phone number for somewhere that would rent a boat? Because I've got to help in the search. So Jim Todd gave him the phone numbers. And then Jim Todd followed up and he never called the phone numbers. Brian didn't give a shit about the phone numbers. Looked like it was just optics because he never called. And he never rented a boat. And he didn't go out and search for Lynette. The wife that he would never leave the Bahamas without. Yeah, bounced out 36 hours after getting out of lockup. So, okay. Timing is everything. And
oh my God.
Brian's story is that Lynette bounced out of the dinghy around 7:40 7:40, let's say 42, 45, 7:45 on Saturday night, April the 4th, the night before Easter Sunday. So you would think after a harrowing night of losing your wife and the current and the wind and the waves and the sea was angry, my friend, baloney, and then floating without any propulsion with a broken
What
oar.
a crock of shit.
I can't even say it without vomiting in my mouth. For 9 hours and washing up on Marsh Harbor, you would think that one of your first phone calls would be to family.
Right.
Oh my God, Lynette is missing. She bounced out of the dinghy and I've been trying to find her and I'm in a crisis and I don't know what to say and I needed to call you right away. You would think that's what would happen. That's not what happened. No, that's not what happened at all. So 4 a.m. he washes up on Marsh Harbor and then finds his way to the boatyard after a whole other bullshit story about knocking on doors that he could never get to and seeing a car that drove off without helping him that he couldn't get to given the topography, and then walking to the boatyard, which now he absolutely couldn't get to from this other story. But okay, Brian, he's at the boatyard and the boatyard night security guard has quite a story to tell about this weirdo that sort of, wandered onto the grounds at 4 a.m. And so the security guard sets in motion getting the authorities involved. And by 7 a.m, 7:30, Hopetown Volunteer Fire and Rescue is pulling Brian off of the shore of Marsh Harbor onto their vessel to go look for Lynette. So he's kind of been on shore for like 3 hours at this point while they're mobilizing
Wow.
people to come get out of bed and get, rally the troops and the vessels and all the rest. We got to search for this woman because they all believe this story. Why wouldn't you? So it's 7:30 in the morning and he's out with this fire and rescue boat that has police officers on board looking for Lynette, trying to point out where it all happened. And he, surprise, surprise, he can't.
Wow.
I was just so confused, he said. Jim Todd told me. Oh, yeah, I was just.
Wow, Rhonda, I'm sorry, honey. Huh. Well, they can fix that though. So they can fix it. So you're gonna be okay. You're gonna be okay. Thank you for letting me know what the doctor just said. Thank you so much. Didn't say where? Okay. Huh. You didn't say where, eh? Interesting. You're welcome. Yeah, you're going to be just fine, honey. Yay! It's good news. You're welcome. You're welcome.
So confused kept being the answer. Jim Todd kept trying to get him to focus.
That really explains a lot. Honestly, it does. It explains a lot. Higher up the leg. Okay. Interesting. It explains a lot. But yeah, you're going to be fine. So
Focus. Brian, did it happen here? Did it happen there? Did it happen here on the shore? I mean, it's simple. It's really not that confusing of a trip from Abaco Inn to Soulmate. In fact, let Jim Todd explain to you what it was like being on the bow of the search and rescue vessel with Brian Hooker. Take a look. How long were you up on the front of the search and rescue vessel with Brian as you all sort of tried to establish where it was that he says she went overboard?
I would say easily in the range of 10 minutes.
Talking to him.
Yeah. To say, okay, she fell off here. How close to land was that? Would she have swum in that direction or would she have swum in this direction? It was that kind of conversation.
And effectively you're...
Okay, good. I'm glad they've got things moving for you and they're not making you wait forever and ever, That's good news.
You're trying to establish where did she go over, how close to land, and how close to the Soulmate yacht?
I was more focused on just the simple context of where to look. I can't say that I cared about where the sailboat was. I was just thinking about where should we look if she went off here and we were this close to land, what part of land might it be? And so where should we be looking?
Were you able to establish that?
No, I'll say as I tried to become more specific, pointing at a particular piece of land, could it be there or could it be a little bit further? Could it conceivably be behind? Brian said something along the effects of, I'm not sure. It's just so confusing. May not have been precisely those words, but the demeanor and the effect of his comments were, I can't be sure. It's just very confusing.
So, okay. All right. So they have picked him up
because he's in
shore.
trauma.
They've driven about 4 miles across the way to where this incident.
He was in trauma
happened.
after what he just did.
They've gone up and boarded Soulmate, right? Brian got onto Soulmate. So did one of the police officers.
No.
And they went down below deck for about an hour while the rest of the search and rescue folks and the other police officers on board the search and rescue vessel just stayed and waited there, tied up to Soulmate. So let's just say it's now 8:45 and they're out searching for Lynette, trying to get him pinned down to this story that he doesn't seem to be able to provide, which again in itself is ridiculous. And by the time they get back to Marsh Harbor, and then he goes and he talks to the police about whatever his story is, and he gets picked back up by search and rescue, he's had multiple times during the day to reach out to family.
Corpus
I
Christi.
don't know, Lynette's daughter.
Where is
Harlan
that?
Aylesworth, maybe?
Texas.
How about Lynette's mom? Right? That would be Darlene Hamlet. How about the rest of the family? And he didn't do that. He didn't call any of them all day long. All day Sunday. He washes up on Marsh Harbor at 4 a.m. He encounters the security guard right at that time. Presumably, security guard has a phone, or the boatyard has a phone.
Corpus
Brian
Christi.
has a phone.
Okay.
That's the best part of all of this. Brian has a phone. Oh, I didn't have a SIM card. I couldn't call anyone. Bullshit again. And if anyone would know that's bullshit, it would be, I don't know, a guy who used to work for a phone company,
so
AT&T, as a telephone repairman and installer, and as a certified tech geek or self-proclaimed tech geek who networked his entire boat. You don't know that you can make an emergency call without your SIM card. It says it right there. Emergency calls only. You didn't call anybody. You didn't call for help. You just floated, according to your own story, across to Marsh Harbor in 9 hours, 4 miles. Which wouldn't take
for that.
9 hours. But okay. It's exhausting giving this guy grace, right? Just exhausting, even after a few drinks. When do you think Brian finally called Lynette's mother to let her know about this calamitous incident where she bounced off the dinghy? Bullshit. But okay. When do you think he called Lynette's mother to tell her what had happened and that Lynette was missing in the Abacos? Do you think maybe 4 or 5 hours after the incident? 6, 8 hours after the incident? 10, 12 hours after the incident? How about more than 14 hours? How about more
wow, that's
14?
crazy.
I know, it sounds fucked up to me too. Like, believe me. And I actually think his hand was forced. I don't think he did it of his own volition. I think he had to. And here's why. So Darlene Hamlet, that's Lynette's mom, gets the phone call from Brian after the Royal Bahamian Police Force put out a press release about what had happened the night before. A press release. That's what finally got Brian to think, maybe I better call Lynette's family and tell them what's happened. Not, holy shit, I'm losing my mind. I can't find my wife. My God, it was such a horrible accident. I've got to call her mom. I got to call our daughter. You know, the stepdaughter you've raised since she was 3. Didn't call her either. The Royal Bahamian Police Force posted about a missing American woman at 5:51 p.m. on Easter Sunday, April 5th. That's
Easter Sunday.
14 hours after he washed up on Marsh Harbor and, encountered the security guard, the night watchman at the boatyard. Wow. 14 hours later, the Bahamians put out a press release. And it wasn't until after that Brian called Darlene. And guess when? Like within minutes. Coinkydink? I think not. Oh shit. The Royal Bahamians put out a press release. I guess I better call Darlene because she's going to find out any minute now from the press.
Yeah.
I call all these actions bad facts, but also consciousness of guilt. Brian's not charged with any crime. Not yet. But oh my God, his stories, they make for, I don't know, really good indictment writing. If I were writing an indictment, well, I wish I were. Can I read you the press release? Of course I can, because this is a one-way conversation right now, but I'm very, very thankful that you're listening. By the way, subscribe. I would love it if you'd subscribe and do a like as well. It's really very helpful, and I so appreciate it. And by the way, while we're at it, if you have information about this case, or you know something or someone, or you have video or pictures, please reach out to us at dropdeadseriousinfo@gmail.com. dropdeadseriousinfo@gmail.com. It's super helpful, and you guys have been amazing. And one of the people who reached out to us has been incredible and has been the subject of many episodes. Nathan has been out searching, and in a moment you are going to see his most recent search, and it is really telling. You're going to learn a lot from this most recent search, because guess where he decided to go and go in deep.
All right.
That whole place where Brian says that
Jenny is shipped now to pack her box.
And then
is Jenny watching?
Went and knocked on doors, 2 doors, and then
you are watching. Hi, Jenny. I'm doing your box right now.
Yeah. Well, Nathan's going to go and show you what the topography is there. We've already learned from
I'm
Jim
doing
Todd.
your box, girlfriend.
You did what now, you liar? It is impossible to wash up on that rocky shore and then make your way to that subdivision through the incredibly thick scrub and the actual ravines filled with water and giant pools of black sludge.
Okay.
I'm going to show you all that. Nathan is going to show you all that in just a moment. And by the way, lock the sludge away for later. Because you know what happens with sludge if you're mucking about in sludge? It doesn't really clean off easy. And so if I were a betting man,
you're the first
when they went and just reamed that boat, a new one, picked up all the evidence off Soulmate once they had, impounded it at the Coast Guard Station, Fort Pearson, Florida. Maybe there's some shoe wear that has some sludge on it. I don't know. But it'll be really interesting when you see the sludge pools and everything else that he found. And one very important hat. We're going to walk through all that in just a moment, but I want to read for you this press release because there's some things in it that also made me shake my head and made me realize like something that Lindsay and I learned when we were there actually is playing out in this press release. It actually is now evident when we read the press release. And we learned that the Royal Bahamian Police Force, they move around a lot, right? Like they'll station them, say, in Freeport, or then they'll station them over. Maybe somebody might be in the little itty bitty tiny office that we got pictures of on Elbow Key. There wasn't anybody inside. It looked like a playground, but there was actually a police station, one room station, that they move them around a lot. And so consequently, the locals say to us, they're not that familiar with our terrain and our idiosyncrasies of where we live. And I was like, really? Because that seems weird, but okay. And now I'm seeing it in this press release. So let me read. Okay. For immediate release, Northern Bahamas, Abaco. Police investigation underway into missing woman at sea. And don't forget, this is just 13 hours after she, so to speak, bounced off the back of the dinghy. Police on the island of Abaco have launched an investigation following reports of a woman who went missing at sea while traveling from Hopetown to Elbow Key on Saturday, April 4th, 2026. Let me stop there. Hopetown is way the F north on Elbow Key, right? They weren't all the way north in the Hopetown Harbor area. They were at the Abaco Inn. They were on Elbow Key, and they were halfway sort of down Elbow Key at the Abaco Inn, and they were coming out from the Abaco Inn and taking a quick shot down south, like 1,000 yards to get to their sailboat. So this is kind of weird. And I remember getting this press release and like trying to do the math on where all of it was. And I was totally upside down when I got there because I thought that they were up in Hopetown, at the Hopetown Inn and Marina where we were staying. That was so far north. They weren't anywhere near
I
there.
forgot.
So
There's crystals inside it as well.
Traveling from Hopetown
There's
to
rose
Elbow
quartz
Key.
in here.
No, they were traveling from the Abaco Inn on Elbow Key to their sailboat, which was anchored off of Elbow Key. So there's the first weirdness of the cops that didn't seem to get it, where all this happened.
Okay.
And to be really granular, because I think, listen, devil's in the details, and the map here matters. If you're leaving Elbow Key, you've got to go out this like deep channel called the White Sound channel. Okay.
Sweet.
And deep is all relative in the Abacos, but you go out that channel and then you take a right to head north to the, say, Firefly Inn or Hopetown Inn and Marina, or you turn left to go south. And about 1,000 yards south is this really pretty little anchorage called Aunt Pat's Bay. And, the old Christmas guy, Burl Ives, behind the Christmas specials, he had a house there. He doesn't own it anymore. Clearly, Burl Ives isn't with us anymore, but that house is still there. Everybody calls it Burl Ives' house, even though it's owned by someone else now. But that is where Soulmate was anchored. Would have been about a 12-minute ride, dinghy-wise, from the Abaco Inn to Soulmate. They never made it to Soulmate. Or that's Brian's story. I believe they did. I think you do too. But anyway, Brian's story is they got halfway there and boink, out she went in this, Andrea fucking Gale storm. Nothing of the sort. I'll remind you of the pictures that we have at 7:41 p.m. Yeah, that's Aunt Pat's Bay. Pretty calm. There's no 2 to 4 foot seas. Brian is trying to get us to believe that's 7:41 p.m. exactly in the area where he says all hell broke loose because of the weather and the waves and the current and the tides. Yeah. We also have video from not far away, just up at Firefly Inn, that I told you if you come out White Sound Channel and you turn just a little bit north and you go like another 1,000 yards, you'll be at the Firefly Inn. And we've got a dinghy just going out quietly on the glassy water at 7:15, 7:30. Yeah. He's full of shit about the weather and I think everything else.
He's full of shit.
So let me continue. According to preliminary information, a male complainant, read Brian Hooker, reported that he and his wife, both U.S. nationals, departed Hopetown, again, with the Abaco Inn, around 7:30 p.m. aboard an 8-foot hard-bottom dinghy en route to Elbow Key. I don't know what that means because they were already on Elbow Key and Hopetown is on Elbow Key. So again, I think these are maybe police officers who aren't yet super familiar. I'm really just curious about how this all got okayed, but okay. During the journey, his wife reportedly fell overboard with the boat keys, causing the vessel's engine to shut off. Strong currents subsequently carried her away and he lost sight of her. He then paddled the vessel to shore. Not quite. He says he tried to paddle to her with his oars and then boink, one of the oars broke off its pin and he lost it. It's never been recovered. And I guess he's not strong enough as a former Marine to be able to paddle with one oar to save his wife. Again, in super calm water. P.S.
A Marine, a former
water,
Marine.
like maybe 5 feet, more like 3 or 4, as close as that dinghy could be to shore. Because you go as the crow flies in a dinghy. As long as the water's deep enough, you don't have to go all the way out the deep channel like the deep drawing boats. You can scoot along reefs and stuff as long as you've got, a foot or more of water. Anyway, I guess he just couldn't possibly jump out or throw the anchor out or paddle with one oar to reach her. See why I keep saying he's full of shite? Because he's full of shite. The man arrived at Marsh Harbor. Oh, yeah, and then paddled to shore. He didn't paddle to shore. He went, well, my job is done here. I guess I'll just kick back and drift. Oh, and there's Lubber's quarters. I guess maybe, there's a quarter, half mile. Maybe I'll throw the anchor out there and fire off some flares.
Is that for Jenny?
No boats
or is that for
attention.
Jenny?
Again, it's all so preposterous.
He's like, who's Jenny?
The man arrived at Marsh Harbor Boatyard around 4 a.m. That's like 9-ish hours later. It's only 4 miles away. And with that screaming wind he talked about, wouldn't take 9 hours. Man arrived at the Marsh Harbor Boatyard around 4 a.m. Sunday, April 5th, 2026, where he informed an individual who then alerted the police. Individual is the security guard at the boatyard. In response, police officers, along with members of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, we got some pictures of those guys. We were over there. They would not talk to us. One of them was actually struggling to tie up their rib, their big boat that they had. And I thought, wow, you boat for a living? It was kind of weird because I'm a boater and I could just see him kind of like having a tough time tying up their vessel, which I thought was weird. Anyway, members of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force and Hopetown Fire and Rescue. That's not the correct name. They're Hopetown Volunteer Fire and Rescue. Please give generously. They had initiated a search of the surrounding area. The investigation continues. What time do you think Brian called his sister? You know, the one that was like on a plane ASAP, came to the Bahamas to rescue his ass after he got arrested and thrown in detention for 5 days? I wonder if he called his sister before he called Lynette's mom, Darlene, or Lynette's daughter, Carly.
Probably.
Be fascinated to find that out. Maybe we'll learn at trial. Again, he's not charged with anything. And I ask that question, when did he call his sister? Because his sister seemed to get to the Bahamas really fucking fast. Right? When Lindsay and I traveled to the Bahamas, it took us like 2 days to get all the way to Marsh Harbor. We had to fly first. We were coming from different places. We had to fly to Fort Lauderdale. Then we had to get a flight to Nassau. Then we had to get this puddle jumper from Nassau to Marsh Harbor. And it took like a whole day of flying and a whole day of scouting and planning the flight. So you tell me what you think. So again, the press release comes out on April 5th, Sunday, 13 hours after the incident of her bouncing off the bullshit, but 13 hours after his story began. And Darlene gets the phone call like right after, within minutes. I asked when the sister got the phone call because 48 hours later, she's in Marsh Harbor. And I know that because CBS got video of her. Here she is with Brian. He's carrying his yellow dry bag, which he washed up on the boatyard with. Apparently, that's what all the reports say. He had his yellow dry bag at the boatyard. This is at 1 p.m.
All right, have a good walk,
April 7th, on Tuesday, April 7th. So again, Darlene gets the phone call at around 6 o'clock at night, Sunday night. 24 hours later, it's 6 o'clock Monday night. And then the next day at 1 o'clock, his sister's already in Marsh Harbor with him. And they are spotted outside across from a restaurant called Colors in Marsh Harbor. It's pretty interesting.
Okay.
So with all of that in mind, Nathan, who is just, again, so amazing. Like Nathan has gone out and searched so many of these places in the Bahamas for us. And then he sent us his video so that we can watch along with him what the terrain looks like. And he's also just looking for clues, anything that he might be able to find, some disturbed earth, something of Lynette's maybe, the oar, the dry bag, all those things should have washed up somewhere, right? And so now Nathan is taking us to a place where a lot of people on Elbow Key have said you should check. And if you look at the map of Elbow Key, part the way down, you'll see this lovely beach area called Tahiti Beach. And it's super gorgeous because at low tide.
Okay, everyone, I'm going to let you guys go.
Walk in the water. You walk up to the bar.
I'll let you guys go for a walk.
Manta rays swim all around you. It's gorgeous. And actually, Brian and Lynette were there the day that she disappeared. They were there in the morning.
Thank you so much. I love you all. And I will probably see you guys later.
On April 4th. And then they got in their dinghy and they went to
happens, you guys know how to reach me.
And then they got in their dinghy and that was the end of that.
Okay, bye.
So